Hello and welcome to the It's Raining Crafts podcast. My name is Raina. Today is July 18th, 2015. It can also be found on Ravelry and Instagram under SF Chick. So how are you all doing? You see that I'm in a different location. I flew on Wednesday to see my mother for a few weeks, and Monday's her birthday, and she's sleeping right now. It's about 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning here in California when I'm recording. The flight, it was fun. I had lots of knitting time. I knitted on 3 different projects, going to Detroit to San Francisco, and then they have one of those flight tracker things. I always like to see where I'm at on the plane, how far we have to go, because from the air everything looks the same. So anyway, let's get into the knitting. So I have a finished object. I knitted this for my nephew. It's going to be one of 3 hats. I originally bought the Red Heart Soft 3 skeins. I was going to use 1 skein for each boy in my family, my nephews and my son, but it turned out to be too thin, so I used 2 strands for the hat. And yeah, I went to about 4 inches for the brim, and then I did about 8 inches for the hat, and I'll make them all the same because we have growing boys in the family. Camden's going to be 3 next week, and Tucker is 8, and my son is 4.5. So I used 2 strands of yarn in the royal blue colorway. It matches my jacket this morning. I just realized that. But I started that on Thursday morning, and I finished it yesterday morning. So I'm about halfway done with the second hat, and I'm also knitting them scarves on my knitting board, Loom Basics loom. I figured I might as well bring a loom with me and knit the scarves, because it's much faster than needle knitting the scarves, and they're young, so it doesn't matter. But you see, you just go into like a figure 8 pattern, and then you lift the bottom loop over the top loop. And this is also called a rake loom. People call them a rake loom. But I have so many looms at home, because before I got into needle knitting, I loomed a lot. So and then I caught the bug of needle knitting. So now that's all that I do. I needle knit on and on and on. So anyway, let's see. I had to use my iPhone this morning for my notes, because my Kindle's almost dead, and Evernote wasn't opening on my computer, because usually I can split screen and have the video on one side and my notes on the other side, and I can read from there. But anyway, I took a couple days off from doing the hitchhiker because it just keeps growing and growing, and I have 16 teeth done so far. in this hitchhiker. And I think that I'll have it done by the time that I go back home to my guys. I didn't want to knit it on the plane because I didn't want it to reach the floor. I know I can wash it, but it's just, when you're on a plane, it's really cramped, and you have to worry about people stepping on your stuff when you're on the plane. And I dropped my needles, and that was a fun experience, trying to pick up my needles on the plane. But yeah, I have about 16 teeth done. I think that I'm going to go to like maybe 28 or something. I will see how long it takes me, because the hitchhiker usually calls for 41 teeth. Excuse me for that. And I don't knit to 41 teeth. I probably get to like under 30, between 20 and 30 teeth. So anyway, that's that. And I have a hoe. I finished my Ulsh sock, my one Ulsh sock. I'm knitting on the other right now, but this is it. And I did Kitchener. I Kitchenered the toe. I went down to 40 stitches, and I Kitchenered the toe. And I really like how this yarn turned out. It's really cool. I like the stripey. And so I'm knitting on number 2. This is number 2. I started number 2 on Monday. I did the ribbing, and I did the cuff. Oh, sorry about that. And I did the heel flap, part of the heel flap on the plane, and a couple nights ago I finished the heel flap and my heel turn, so I can I'm working on my gusset now. And yeah, it's really fun, and I like knitting socks. And my mother tried on the Zauberball socks, so she said that they didn't itch, and she wants me to make her a pair. So I cast it on last night while we were watching the CNN documentary, The 70s. They did the 60s before. Now they're doing the 70s, and it's really interesting because I'm a big political nerd too, and a big history nerd, because history was my favorite class in high school. And and it's just neat to see it, how history is repeating itself with some of the events that are happening today. And my mother and I were talking about what's going to happen in like 40 years when they show this decade on TV. What are they going to say about the stuff that's going on in the world now? But that's what. And I knitted on the bankhead. This was a frog too. Well, after I recorded the last time, my bamboo needle broke, and I was really upset because I want to get these hats done for the craft show that my sister-in-law and brother-in-law have at their home in Red Lion in November. So I'm on a craft show hat making kick now. So I have and then my bamboo needle broke, and I was like, oh. So I told my husband, I didn't know what to do, and I went on eBay and I found the needles that I use, the high needles. And so I texted my husband, and he sent me some money. And then I was like, oh, well, look at these ChiaoGoo needles. They're only $10 with free shipping. So I ended up getting needles, 32-inch circulars and 16-inch circulars for $20 with free shipping. And I haven't tried them out yet because I haven't, my mother hasn't checked her mailbox. So I netted on this on the way to Detroit and a little bit on the way to San Francisco. So I have about 5 inches done so far. I have 2 inches to go until I switch to the double points and put the start decreasing, because I don't like ladders, but I like to decrease on double points because I like to count my stitches. I like to have an even amount of stitches. And yeah, so that's my bankhead, and I'm about 5 inches. Did I say that already? Sorry about that. So I'm very excited about how this is turning out. I like the color. The color is Redwood by Lion Brand Yarn. It's in our Heartland brand. It's really soft, and it's really, the color is very vibrant. So anyway, let's go back to my notes. I had to put my code in. Sorry. And then the next one is my cordon cow. I also pulled this out on the plane and was working on it a little bit. And then I was like, I don't know where I'm at. So I just put it away. This is what I have done so far. I am on row 6, I think. Sorry. I got a big giant loop, I realized, when I was on the plane, and I had to rip back a little bit. And so this tail, this right here was the loop, and I just cut it and tied it and just kept going on because I couldn't figure out where the loop was to go. So that's all that I've been working on since I was flying, and I've been here while my mother's been working, hanging out with her dogs, Finnegan and Fiona. They're very cute. So let's see. I brought a good amount of yarn with me in my suitcase. I had projects ready to go in my bag when I was on the plane, so I can just cast on and knit. And then I was like, I need more yarn. I brought, in case I get these projects done, then I have other projects to work on. So I brought my black charisma yarn, because I'm going to make a cowl for my sister-in-law to go with her hat. And I brought some pink rhinestone Vanna yarn that I brought, and other skein for the hitchhiker. And I packed this yarn away for the boys because I wasn't going to pull the loom out on the plane and do that. It's just, it's easier when you're in a confined space, I believe, to pull out your knitting on needles than it is to pull out the loom because you had to pull the loom out, and then you had to grab the hook and the tape measure, and it's really there's it's a lot more to carry, and I didn't want to carry a lot because I'm going to be here for a while. So I brought my yarn to knit for my sister too. When I get done with that, let me have a sip of coffee right now. Oh, it was funny. It was really funny because Thursday morning, my mother told me that she went to the store for me and she got me some coffee, and it was sea salted caramel, and I said, ooh, that sounds delicious. Yeah, so Thursday morning, we're in the living room. She has an open floor plan downstairs, so I was in the kitchen, and I said, Mom, you bought hot chocolate instead of coffee. And she's like, no, I didn't. So it turned out it was hot chocolate. But I said that was okay because then I can just walk up to the Alameda and get coffee. You know, it's only a couple blocks away from here. And so Thursday night we went to the grocery store, and I picked up some coffee K-cups, and I made sure it was coffee, and then I made sure it was not decaf, because I've been drinking coffee since high school. I'm a huge coffee drinker, and so I used to drink coffee in the morning to stay warm while I was waiting for the bus stop. At the bus stop for the bus to go to school. So it's been, and I'm been out of high school for like 20 years now. So I even drank it during my pregnancy. So anyway, I was really bummed about the Red Heart soft yarn that I had to use 2 strands because I wanted them to be nice and warm for the boys. I didn't want them to be thin because it gets cold in Red Lion in February, and you know, my youngest nephew is starting preschool in September, and my oldest nephew is in 2nd grade. So in Cal 2, he is starting pre-K in September. So I figured that if I run out of yarn, I can run over to Michael's and get another skein. There's really no dye lot, so I forgot what my mind just went blank for a second. I'm sorry. So I figured I can just go over and get another skein if I need another skein for their hats. But I think that I will be good enough because I'm only going to make them 36 inches long. The scarves, maybe. If I go over a little over 36 inches, it's not a big deal. I often say that, but so, and then I wanted to check my bag on the plane originally, and when I got to Detroit, I was able to, because we had a full flight and they were out of room, and I just didn't want to drag the suitcase along. So they let me check it for free, you know, because they had the announcement, we have a full flight, we may not have room for everybody's carry-on. If you want to make your trip easier, you can check it, and will send it to your destination. Well, I went up to the counter and I said, do I have to pay for this? And they're like, no. I'm like, so it's like, I'll be back. So I went and I got my suitcase, and I just checked it from Detroit to SFO because it was, I have a lot of, I pack my suitcase in threes because my mother has a washer and dryer that I can do laundry if I need to. And so I didn't have that many clothes, but I had my tools in there for my knitting. You know, I had the yarn, I had the looms. So anyway, when we get to SFO, that in the evening, we got in a little bit early, and there was this little girl at the baggage claim. She was, it's like, she was 4 years old. She, I told her I had a son that was 4 years old too, and she's like, I'm gonna be 5, in her little sassy voice. And I thought that was that was funny because I said, when are you gonna be 5? She's like, I'm not telling you. In that voice, it's like, oh my God. But earlier she was talking and she's like, the suitcase is coming in 10 seconds. 10 seconds, the suitcases are coming. And I'm like, oh my God. And when I was 6 months pregnant, my nephew, Tucker, he was running around the baby's room in Red Lion in our apartment before I moved, and he's like, baby's coming in 5 minutes, baby's coming in 5 minutes. And I was only 6 months pregnant at the time, so it was quite funny. So I don't know what I'm gonna do today. My mother's still sleeping, so I think we're gonna go to a yarn store. I don't know which one we're going to go to, but anyway, that's, oh, and there was no toddler knitting this week. He's been busy taking swimming lessons, and my mother-in-law says that he enjoys that very much. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I hope that you have a good week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.